Sweet darling, that ain't the way you make love. You've been turning around uptown, doing some fancy clown, doing some fancy clown. You've been turning around uptown, doing some fancy clown, doing some fancy clown. You've been, I hear you in the background. Ooh, I hear you in the background. I hear you in the background. Ooh, I hear you in the background. You've been turning around uptown, doing some fancy clown, doing some fancy clown.
Yo,
What's up, baby?
what's happening?
What's going on?
I can't call it. Well, I can't call it. What's going on, brother Pat? Brother Six, how you doing?
Same old things, different hour, brother. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Man, I'm good. Pat, what's up with you, brother?
Man, just trying to keep things moving, man. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Just
Yes, sir.
one day at a time. How about
Yes,
you?
sir. Yes, sir. I can't call it. Yo, first and foremost, I want to welcome everyone to the BackAlley Fellas podcast. Yo, shout out to our first time listeners, viewers. Hopefully you tune in, you tell a friend to jump on in with us. We'll be doing this every week, coming with three thorough brothers from 23rd Street, Louisville, Kentucky, to be the exact, the great city of Louisville, Kentucky. And so we here, man. We just here, just vibing, having a little conversation, having talk, just some real man talk. Just happy to see you, brothers. You're looking
Man,
good.
it's good to be
Always
seen,
a
brother.
pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
Yes, indeed. Weekend was good. Everything was good on y'all.
Everything was good, man. Just kind of chilled, man. We watched a couple games, did what we did with this corona thing going on. You know how it is.
I see it. I
Trying to
see
hold
it.
it down, stay out of the way.
See, you got that flag flying though.
Oh man, hey man, hey.
Pull out a win. I feel you.
I think it's a surprise of the century, ain't it?
Yeah, Pat. We never got a chance. I don't think I saw you boasting nothing about Notre Dame beating Louisville the other day.
Ooh.
It wasn't no big win. It was expected already.
It was expected. Okay.
And we slid on through there, but, you know. We
Yes,
looking
man.
on the bigger fish.
That's
Man.
right.
We,
I ain't gonna
Say
let-
it was
I'm not gonna
it.
say nothing about the goldfish and the guppies.
Hey, what's understood don't need to be said. Is that it? Okay, I get it.
we just say word up. Okay.
Man, listen. So yeah, so the BackAlley podcast, just to give a brief synopsis of what this is all about. It's three of us. We all grew up together, Louisville, Kentucky, 23rd Street to be exact. One of our partners who's no longer with us had this great concept, BackAlley Classic, where he put the house that he stayed in and where all the things went down, pretty much the equivalent of the dog house for the dog pound. The BackAlley was that for 23rd Street. And so he used to DJ and made a logo and put things together. And so, you know, we paying homage to our brother who's no longer here, as well as the fellas was a clique that we had, not a gang, but a clique. Big brother Thomas, you know, Pat, he put together along with some of the elders. And, you know, we just going back to our neighborhood, our childhood, and just showing the progression of us from where we were at back then to where we at right now. And just always want to keep our roots together. And so that's where you get the BackAlley fellas. Again, just regular brothers maintaining, trying to stay focused and just trying to give some insight on some things. And hopefully you'll be able to join us on this ride. Be on the lookout pretty soon for some merch when we get that popping. Crazy logos, crazy stuff that's coming later on. And, you know, tune in, and like I said, invite a friend. That being said, anything you brothers want to add? Anything? Did I miss anything, bro?
I'm just
No,
glad
hats
to
off
be
to
here,
Fat
and I
Blood.
want to welcome everybody listening in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what we normally do, and what we hope is that when we do this, as you begin to tune in every week with us, that you will learn this toast. You will take it to wherever you go and say it with your friends, and that you would join along with us and toast up, not only for just being here another day, but for those that are no longer here. We do a little libation, a little toast. It's our podcast toast.
Yes, sir.
But before we go into that, um, I must ask you brothers, Pat, going with you since you're the older guy, what do you have in your cup?
Ooh.
Man, tonight I'm trying something a little different. I got a little rum, and
Mm.
I'm not sure what this other stuff is in here, but we just sipping on a little rum.
That's that's an OG. That's an
Yeah,
OG.
yeah,
They don't
yeah.
get drunk. They get full. That's an
Yeah,
OG.
yeah.
What he say? I don't know what's in there. I don't know what that is, but we gonna try this
Yeah,
out.
Yeah,
Ugh.
man.
A little
Yeah,
sweetener,
man.
just a little sweetener.
Just a
Yeah,
little
man.
something, a little mixer, a little slice of lime or
Hey,
something.
look here, man.
What you got? What you
I got a
got,
little-
Six?
I got a little taste of wine, man.
Oh, you got some wine?
I got some
See,
wine.
boy,
Red.
listen. Only 23rd cats can drink wine in a red cup.
In a
Everybody
red
else, it would not be sophisticated enough. But we're not really trying to be sophisticated.
No,
You know,
sir.
but hey,
No,
but yo,
sir.
don't judge me if one day I have a glass of wine. Don't judge me.
Oh, okay.
Don't judge me.
What's up?
Don't judge me.
Toast to
I ain't no
that.
judge. Okay, I just want to throw that.
on tonight.
Well, I got a little mixture that I call Grandma George's tea.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
Grandma Georgia used to have that fire tea,
Yeah.
the sweet tea with the lemon. But this one is not that. It's a little green honey tea with a little peach crown royal and a little simple syrup. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so a little,
Hey, you know
little
what?
something.
That's what I got in this. Simple syrup. That's what
There you go.
Okay.
Simple
Okay.
syrup for simple guys, bro.
it is. That's
Yeah.
what
That's
it
it.
counts.
That's it. That's it. So now that we have everything that's in our cup, we want to know what's in your cup. Let us know when we get all our stuff together. Just let us know what you got in your cup. It could be water. We don't judge. From time to time. Yeah, I got agua too to stay rehydrated. John Taffer from Bar Rescue says hydrate yourself. So make sure you hydrate yourself.
Shout out.
With that, a shout out. With that, let's get our toast going,
All
brothers.
right,
let's
do
get
this
started.
toast, fellas. Hold your cups up. Let's do this toast.
Okay.
Bottles, glasses, cups that are plastic. Alleyways backwards. Perfection takes practice. Friendship turned kinship. 2/3 of the street dynastic.
Hey, yo, brotherhood from the neighborhood. This podcast is a classic. Divine state of mind. Our movement sublime. On the rocks. Give me something strong, brother.
A mixer, slice of lime. Put your drinks up. Now let's link up. It's nothing but love in this atmosphere. Peace and salutations, brothers and sisters, the fellas. We in here. Cheers.
Sure. Yes, sir.
That's to be more careful.
Yes, sir. Let's get this thing going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Junior, did you want to know anything?
So today,
What's going on in the back alley, man? Some news coming out of the back alley yet? Y'all heard anything?
Pat, you heard anything in the back alley?
I thought the back alley was a little buzz, and we were trying to talk about the Willie Lynch letter a little. Is it not? So if you brothers don't mind, I'd like to throw a little bit of history out there, just for those that have never heard of it.
Please do.
Around the year 1712, supposedly there was a letter that went out and invited this gentleman named, we'll just call him a gentleman for Luke, call him a gentleman, Lynch, and he came to Virginia, and supposedly he stood on this riverbank and gave a speech. The speech was later penned around 1970, and it became popular in 1990. But basically, it was the formula to control your slaves. He was supposed to be a really good master. He told them, and I'm a paraphrase, of course, because we're going to get in and discuss this. if white slave owners this formula that they could disrupt, capture, and hold back black slaves 300 years. That's the gist of it.
Okay.
So we can get into it.
So what with that being said, what is your thought process on that? Do you believe, because that was something that back when I started, delving into some studying years back, a couple of decades ago, that was one of the things that came up. It's like in the early 90s, as a matter of fact. And you heard Willie Lynch Letter, Willie Lynch syndrome, so forth and so on. So, I used to run with that because it made sense back then. So Pat, how do you feel? And then June, I mean, Brother Six, I'm sorry. I'm gonna come to you and ask you, just real brief, it's not an ask, we gonna get into it, but how do you feel about that, Pat? Do you believe that?
Well, truthfully, when I was a younger cat and I was kind of impressionable, I kind of ran with it myself, like you.
Sure.
As I got a little older and I did a little research, and I seen all the non-existence of any proof thing ever existed. But you said something that was key for me. So the letter itself, I believe, is fake. The syndrome, the syndrome, the fallout, the ripple effect in the military, we used to call it the third and fourth order effect of the information in the letter. I do believe is true.
Okay. Six, what about you, brother?
Whether the letter is a hoax is what they called it. It was a like he said, just to reiterate what the brother was talking about. It was a letter that actually is supposed to have been printed in the 1970s, and then it didn't get widespread until the 90s when it hit the internet. But then there are some inaccuracies and acronyms that said that the letter is a hoax. To me, whether the letter is a hoax, whether it's real or not, the recipe in the letter, if you will, that we're going to vibrate on here in a little bit. I believe that the recipe is working.
By the way, brother, real quick, just so that everybody know, this is 2020. This was supposed to have happened in 1712. So we're 108 years now.
Right. Yes, sir. I stand on that one. The recipe, it to me, is working as if you would fix pancakes or cookies, brother. You take your pancake mix, you put a little water or milk to it, stir it up, pour it, make your pretty brown pancakes. Or you take your cookies and you would preheat the oven, mix up the butter and the cream, drop in your eggs, stir it up, drop you a couple of them, and cookies come out pretty good.
Right.
What was set in motion is now that from my eyes and what I've seen and what I've grown into being 50 years old, I think the recipe is working quite well, dear brother.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I agree. I believe, based off the research that I've done, and I think one of the things that I would want, and I think we all would want to is when you hear things, is to do your due diligence and to, be about the mind of doing the research to figure out whether or not it's right and exact. So to me, the letter is a hoax. It's fake. But I think that maybe, because we've had this conversation before, I think that maybe we might be, or I may be, splitting hairs. Let me say that. Maybe I'm splitting some hairs.
Break it down.
So because I don't necessarily think by giving that letter or giving one person the power to do whatever is that, because then takes us out of us being able to control certain things. I think that some of the things, so it's two parts.
Okay.
I don't think that as Black people, we are as bad as we tend to believe that we are from a mental perspective. Not saying that we don't have some things and some residual things that have happened, but I think that we if we measured ourselves amongst the other cultures or race, if we won't even use that term, we would find that we are doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. That being said, I think that this syndrome is a byproduct of slavery, but I don't know if it was intentional. I think that things happen, and because of those things happening and continually has happened to us since we've been on this continent in this capacity, that we can expect those things. So Pat would know, being in the military as well, both retired, that you have this trauma, this post-traumatic trauma, syndrome. And so, Dr. Joy DeGruy wrote a book and did her a PhD on post-traumatic slave syndrome. And I read the book, watched a lot of lectures. Shout out to Dr. Joy DeGruy. Is that when you think about what she lays out and you think about the trauma and the different things that happen and that continue to happen, any psychiatrist, any sociologist, anyone in that field would be able to say, if gone untreated, here's what these people are going to do and the generations after are going to do, just based off of the trauma and the continued trauma that they did. So I don't want to, I guess my split is, I don't want to give any person that kind of power, like they came up with something intentional. I think they stumbled up on some stuff, but wanting to inflict fear, wanting to create that fear in those people and the cutoff and all those things. So in many ways, whether it happened or not, things did happen that played a role. But I think that, where I look at it, and maybe we differ and we can get into this conversation for sure, is whether or not we can move beyond this. And I tend to think that we can, but I don't know. What say you?
If it's okay with you, Six, I'm gonna jump in there real quick.
Go ahead.
I think it's like I like what Six said, the recipe. I think the recipe of this is, or the syndrome is part of a bigger plan. And I think where we differ is, I think that it was planned. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because as things started shifting, someone had to say, whoa, we losing control of this. So as things started shifting, there was stuff that happened. Okay, we gonna give them what can we give them? We'll give them God. We'll give them something to pray to, some hope, even though they never gonna get it. But they'll always keep thinking. They'll keep grabbing and reaching for it. That's the first thing. We gonna and then we can bind them with that, because we can put things in this book that's restrict them. Don't do this, this, and this, or it's gonna happen. You're gonna burn in hell forever. Restrict them. Then we gonna tell them that everything is good, but when they go for bank loans, we're gonna get denied. When they
okay, I think I'm tracking. I'm sorry, pardon my interruption. I think I'm tracking with your plan. So I can agree with that. I can agree with where you're going.
That and then as far as the end part of ever getting there, at some point we're gonna have to say enough is enough. I mean, it's been 300, 400, 500 years, and we keep saying, oh, it won't be in our generation, it'll be in another generation. Well, another generation come, or it'll be in the next generation. Sooner or later, I mean, when is it gonna come? So that's how I feel on that.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna jump
go
in
ahead, brother.
Yeah,
go ahead, please.
To my point, on what I was speaking on earlier, where did this syndrome, this recipe, this system start? And then the Willie Lynch Letter. Let's get to the root of that. I mean, just because it was published, in 1970, the date don't mean that the recipe isn't working. I mean, you look at the Bible and compare the two, in my eyes. So the last frequency we was vibing on was talking about the illegitimacy of the letter itself, and then what as a community do we do to fix it, or can it be fixed? So my point is the letter, and if it is real or not, is the recipe working perpetually to this day? So
Well,
let's read a little bit. Hold on, Mike. Let's do this.
Go ahead.
Experts from the letter. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves. Take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, envy, and control the purpose. These methods have worked on a modest plantation, the West Indies. It took throughout the South. So this guy came and he did he give them this plan, or was it something already in motion, something that was already happening, something that was going down, and then he took those words and put it into his own and called it a letter? But my thing is, whatever he did, and it led us here, you on the top of the list was age, and the only reason he chose age was because of the letter A. And then the second was the color, the shade, then the intelligence, the sex, the size, the plantation, the status of the plantation, attitudes of the owner. So all of these things, putting the older against the young, the coarse hair against the straight hair, the tall against the small, and now these differences, you list them and shell out loud the actions of them. So this trust is strong, and the trust and envy are stronger. The respect and the admiration. They wanted you to respect them. They put your fear in you. So you look at today's society, and you say, are we victims of that? And over these years of beating, do we get away from that? Because the system that he set, or that he said, that he's taken what you said, Mike, he's taking all the props for this. And I'll follow you 100%. Let's stop giving him the props about something that was already going on. I got two
questions real quick for Mike.
Yes, sir.
Actually, it's for both of y'all, but if you said something, Mike, about giving giving credence to this one man or this
I'll make that.
If we don't acknowledge that something's wrong, how are we gonna fix it?
Okay, that's question one.
Say this didn't happen, or it's true, I'm not gonna breathe life into that. Essentially, we're saying that it didn't happen, so it's never going to get fixed because nobody's ever going to believe in it. My second, that's kind of a question statement.
Okay.
Follow up with that is, have you ever experienced it? For real quick, Brother Six and I walked into a regular Walmart. Black teller, and this is a story. Right in front of us, she was like, "Hey, welcome to Walmart. Was it a great shopping experience?" And all of He paid and left. We walked up. She went like this. "You get everything you need?" And I said something right there at the spot. I was like, what did I do that's different? But see, that the point I'm making, that's how we treat each other. So if we don't treat each other like kings and queens, and if we don't point out what's wrong, how are we gonna ever fix it?
Okay. So for me, I think that two things can be true. We don't have to give credence to something that is fake. We can look at the history and say, based on the language and some of the words, that we use, the fact that some things wouldn't even been said at that time, and the fact that from a historical perspective, they wasn't even on that from a separation part. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until later on, according to Dr. Edward Robinson, is that that the Europeans or colonizers, whichever way you want to call them or whatever, find out what can they do to stop the rebellions. Because one of the untold stories about slavery is that there were many rebellions on a regular. We wasn't taking no shit at all. We was fighting back on a regular, you know what I'm saying? And I think that gets lost in the sauce a lot of times. But that being what it is, they wanted to they realized that based on the fact that many, and this is again according to his story, was that because we knew, we stem from the Songhai Empire, that West African, and we understood where we came from, that we were unwilling to let go of those traditions, and they were passed down. So what they ended up doing was they were separating the children. When they were taking the captives to South Carolina, they started separating the children from the parents and
So isn't that
working
a
the parents to
plan,
death.
That sounds
Huh?
complete.
But isn't that a plan though?
No, yeah. They it ended up becoming a plan as far as that. So I say I agree with you from the perspective of those things. What I'm saying is this: that was a part of slavery. That was a part of the trauma that was inflicted. That anybody, you will find years down the line when they do the research on these children that was taken during the immigration halls and everything like that they were taking the young people and was separating them from their families, and some can't find. When they do the research on those kids down the line, they're going to see all types of trauma. We're looking at what happened to us in real time on a whole, on a different scale, but very similar. You dig what I'm saying? We're getting to see what it kind of looked like when they just was like, we just gonna take you over here, put you in a cage, put them kids over here, and we really don't know what happened to those kids. But I digress.
Now,
I think that
answer
when
the
we,
question, from my point of view, Thomas.
well, I ain't finished.
Oh, well, go ahead then, big bro.
but go on, beloved, go on, get
No,
in where
no,
you
you
fit
go
in.
ahead. Because I want to
No,
re-ask the question because I'm listening to you and I wanted to add on to what you were saying. If you're not
okay.
finished, you definitely finish, brother, because I want to go behind.
So what I'm saying is that when we recognize the trauma, and just reading off one of the things that Dr. Joy put down, a list of the conditions would be a serious threat or harm to one's life or physical integrity, a threat or harm to one's children, spouse, or close relative. Good Lord. Sudden destruction of one's home or community, seeing another person injured, killed as a result of accident or physical violence. And then some of the symptoms of the PSD is feelings of detachment or estrangement for others. Sense of foreshortened future. In other words, doesn't expect to have a career, marriage, children, or a normal lifespan. Irritability, outbursts of anger, difficulty concentrating. So when you think about, and this is what she uh, puts in a book, outlines in the book, when you see that trauma, it's easy to see why we are what we are. We have to acknowledge it. To your point, Pat, we do have to acknowledge what happened, but not under the false sense of it was a Willie Lynch letter. Slavery happened, Jim Crow, segregation, Jim Crow, all of these different things happen and are continually happening. Here's what we're going to have to do in order to get beyond that, because we did get beyond that. You dig what I'm saying? We have gotten beyond
But
that
what
from the
happened?
we did. Now we could disagree. I'd like to hear, but I want to hear six. I like to hear your reasons why you see we didn't. Go ahead.
Thomas, and like I said, what was the question again directly?
If we don't acknowledge whether the letter existed or not, the system or the syndrome, because he had made the statement, Brother Mike made the statement that we can't give any credence or any weight to this, so to this one person or this one system. But if we don't acknowledge that this happened, how we ever gonna fix it? If a alcoholic doesn't admit that they're alcoholic, they're never gonna stop drinking.
Right. To answer that to the best of my ability, brother, is I just think about where we are, and I guess this goes on to what you're about to answer to Mike is, can it be fixed? And the question after that is, will I see it in my lifetime? The more important question is, what can I do personally to try and fix this problem? Now, I'm in agreement with Mike on saying that we know where the system, we know what happened. Don't give this props for coming up with something that already existed. I get that. What I'm afraid for my great grandchildren is the plan is working almost to perfection now. And to get back there is going to take one thing, and that's unity. And can we get that? Where are we with this recipe that was put on us, and now that we're suffering from? How do we get away from under this umbrella on how, whatever language you use, whether it be the letter or just the way things happen? And later on, he came up and said, "Hey, man, I know how to get paid. I'll come up with these. We come up with this letter. We'll put it down." And now, you know, I came up with slavery. I think that's what he's saying. But like I said, my fear is when you look out here in my community where I come from in Louisville on 23rd, and I go back there, look at the age, all the young guys and young girls, when I come and I speak to them about something about changing their view on the way things is and maybe a different alley to take, are they listening? Do they look at me and shove me off and give me a cold shoulder? Then I look at the old and the young, you know, the age, and then I look at the color, the light, thinking that, you know, oh, you think you cute because you so-called got good hair. So good hair against the coarse hair is this bad because you're dark, you're ugly. So all of these differences are now bigger when we all on the same vibration. Are they willing to even listen to a brother like Mike, or to me, or to you? So that's my big problem. Whether or not the letter existed or whatever was put out at that time for us to sit here and don't acknowledge what's going on, what he said and what he talked about and what's in the letter ain't working to this day. I have to say, man, it is. And that's what I think that's hurting us. So who gets the props for it? That's not the problem.
I feel you. How can
we,
that's valid.
Can we fix it with your sister Mike, or with even yours, Pat? Can it be fixed?
Yeah,
I ain't saying I'm not a quitter, but I did stop.
Right.
You know what I mean? For a little while. 'Cause I got a family and some young ones who ain't even read the Willie Lynch Letter or know about slavery and their history, where they came from. So I think to answer your question, yes, we need to do what you said, Mike. We need to start from the beginning to learn the history so that we know where we're going and where we at. And yes, Pat, first you got to acknowledge that there is a problem, and you need to know where you come from. So
look, okay, don't go ahead. But
I'm done. Go ahead, Pat.
I'm about to. Pat, I want you to get here. I'm just about to say this real quick. So, because this is our first joint, we got a lot of them. God willing, you know, a lot willing. We got a lot more. You know what I mean, to do. We about to do like we do when we just do. Get in your conversation when you can get in, because that's how we kind of just sitting back and being kind of like, okay, brother Six, okay, brother Mike, I hear you. Let me get the point. You know how we get in our conversation. Get in where you get in, and we'll figure out the way.
Let me put this on your brother's mind real quick.
Okay.
Just ask yourself this. So, there's an organization out there. They're black, white. They're called the Masons. Everybody's aware of the Masons. Okay.
No. Can you tell me a little bit about the Masons?
Now, we won't discuss the Masons right now, but
are you standing on your square?
What you gonna say?
It's known as a secret organization, right? Now, just real quick though, there were a lot of things going on through history that were never written down through the Masons. So. So
what that? I don't know. I just
y'all
my neck
agree
was
with
hurting.
that, right?
I don't know. My neck is hurting.
We're talking about the Willie Lynch Letter, right? I'm ignoring.
Yeah. Okay. What's that on your wall, though, bro?
So we I know a little bit about it. So
do you?
But here's the point that I'm making, though.
You can't share with us. That's why we can't get along. That's why we can't get nowhere, because we can't share.
That's why the letter exists.
I can't write, stamp. I can't do none of that stuff. But anyway, so there was a lot of stuff going on that was not written.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want y'all just to understand. That was a different time. One of the mistakes that I believe we make, and no matter what level of education you have, one of the mistakes that we make now is because we have grown. I agree with you. We have made it to a certain point. We can read now. We can research. Back in the day, they didn't have those abilities.
Indeed.
So a lot of stuff that was going on that was not written. Now, here's the point that I'm making. The Willie Lynch Letter was published in 1970. That does not mean that's when it was penned. That does not mean that it wasn't made from a collection of thoughts, ideas, plans.
Well, I think that's what it was. I would agree with you, Pat. I think that that's what it was, but I think there was.
Let me finish making this point though.
Okay, well, come on with it.
Because one of the major arguments, no matter where you read or research, I've researched the same stuff you have. They talk about the language used and it's well, the Bible was not written as a book per se, and the Bible originally, those individuals that were supposed to have lived during that time spoke what? Hebrew and Arabic, right? Hebrew and what?
I think it was Arabic.
It was a language called Aramic, Aramic.
Yeah, and Greek.
Yeah, and Greek, but it had to be translated.
Supposedly.
See, that's the word, supposedly. But at some point in time, and let's just go with the King James Version because that's the most widely known. It had to be translated, right? But in fact, that Greek, Hebrew, Arabic doesn't translate properly into what we know as the English language.
I agree.
So with the Willie Lynch Letter, we cannot be 100% sure that this wasn't ways, methods, recipes, plans that have been talked about at the dinner tables, in back rooms, in sheds for years. It just got penned in the 70s.
I get that. That's a valid point. I think to me it was a black person that looked at black people, looked at our community, looked at all the things that were happening to us, and with a little bit of knowledge of some things, penned something together, and with some historical credence to it. Maybe, just was like, okay, this is a commentary on us as a people right now.
Yeah.
I think
I could agree with that.
But I think that by doing that, it doesn't give all the context, and it doesn't offer anything in the realm of a solution or what we need to do to fix it, or even tell the whole story. And so I guess for me, just getting back to, I don't really care how we look at it. I from this day forward, I go through, if anybody asks me about Willie Lynch, I'm saying it's a fake letter, it's not real, but let's build on whether or not you believe that that's what's happening in our vicinity, the crab in the barrel. And I use this example all the time in my job and in some other things when I have conversations. I talk to a lot of people a lot. And they come to me about, issues that are going on at the job and so forth and so on, and this and this and this. So I hear a lot of different stories. And when I ask people, I'm like, so, when I look at everybody in this room, everybody is like, yo, I'm with this. Let's move. Let's make this happen. I'm about us. I'm about unification. So I'm like, okay, so then where the crabs at? Now, I'm not saying that they're not any. I'm just saying that when I talk to people, they say, this is what I'm about. And generally speaking, they, in their own way, do that. I think that it was a
Yeah,
plan.
but you don't even, but even though you're talking to a lot of people, that's not even a 1% of the people. So that's
No,
still
no,
small
I get it. No,
They're
I get
out
it.
there.
But
I've met them.
no, no,
Even in
no, and
different circles, I've
you know,
met 'em.
no, and I get that. But I also think that they are a small percentage. I think that for the most part, there are more of us trying and attempting and wanting that because I'm gonna be careful about the words that I use because I know what want means in the universe.
Right. Yeah.
Desiring to want better for us and are doing everything that they can to make those things happen. But I think that we do it. Last time we talked, I think we do it in silos. And so if I'm living on this side of town and that's really all that I go to and know, then what's going on that side of town is doing. And the fact that I'm having to deal with just the food, clothing, and shelter
Yeah.
from a perspective is that now the part that I will agree with you, both of y'all, is that I think that many of us that have left the neighborhood,
Yeah.
that have left the community,
Okay.
and have been able to have some affluency, been able to move out,
See other
into
things.
you see some other things.
Mhm.
Some of us have forgotten, or more importantly, and I don't take this because I thought about this one day. Man, it's hard being black.
It is.
And sometimes if we were to be honest, if we were just to be open and honest, I sometimes understand people to just say, I don't want to do this no more. I just want to, if it means me just being a regular American and buying into all of that just to get by, that's all I want to do. Cause I'm
And I
tired.
got my money and I got out of there. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you. Hey, look, I ain't looking back. Hey, let me tell you something. When I went down there, man, I tried to tell that nigga, I said, look, man, brother, buy this bag of fruit for me. That little sucker told me, nigga, if you don't get it out of my face and give me everything in your pocket, I said, here, I'm done. Look, I'm done.
Hey,
Hey, is there hope?
Hey, man, listen. I was working for the post office. I had my post office uniform in a friendly white neighborhood. And every time I went to a door, click, 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 they locked every lock. I think they might have hit the same lock 3 or 4 times in my postal uniform.
that's funny.
But
That's funny.
In the end, I think we can agree to disagree on a couple of small issues, but I think overall, we all agree, if I can speak for you all, that the letter hoax. The letter itself is fake. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think some of our opinions differ a little bit on where we are as a people. But I believe that we all believe that there's some form of a syndrome, a recipe, or PSD effect that has happened.
Yeah.
As a culture somewhere.
It's still going on. It's still happening right to this day, bro.
But
a lot of us are scared, you know, and the fear and I get it. We don't want to say that this Lynch dude came up with this idea. I'm not trying to say that. What I am emphasizing though is whatever recipe was put in place to get us where we are, where the shackles are off and our minds, it's a slave mentality that we're dealing with now. So how do we that's what we gotta try and break. And then the question then is, okay, Mike, how do we fix it with the group that you're in? How do I fix it with the community I'm in? How do you fix it, Pat, where you come from? See, that's the question. It ain't about
great
the
question.
hell with who the hell whose name's on it. It's
great question.
And it's happening, and it's happening to perfection because what you see in that letter, or what you remember from your history and your researching, is that going on, man?
No.
That's real.
That's real. I would submit though that I don't think that it's so much that. So I get to a certain extent the slave mentality. I think that in our subconscious for most blacks, I think what we look at, and I don't think we even give credence to this. We talk about Black Wall Street, Rosewood, and all the other
Great
cities and things that we had back in that day. We think about that period of time between the end of slavery and Reconstruction. That small 7 years then in the South where blacks were able to do something, and then the hill that we caught and everything else and everything since then. So I think that in many ways we kind of recognize this thing, whether and I think it's in the deepest part of our subconscious. Yo, if I do what I think I know I'm supposed to do with my brother and sister over here, we're going to disrupt the economic system, the business.
Yeah.
We're going to disrupt the business model. And when we interrupt this business model, we see they eat their own babies.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know
Devils.
from history what they do to us.
Yeah.
I ain't ready for that right
And
now.
that's what's holding us back.
Is that
We got
that
enough
hate?
millionaires and enough to do Black Wall Street and all that, but we're not gonna do it.
Well, I also think, and I got this book, I haven't read it yet. It's called, so I suggest y'all get that. Maybe one day we could talk about this. It's called The Color of Law: A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America. It's by Richard Rothstein. And so they just kind of break down segregation, they redlining, all of those things, the different things. And so there are a couple of people, Dr. Claude Anderson, in his book Powernomics and some other things, he talks about there's legislation that needs to be passed more from a progressive perspective, because you got 200, 300 years of free labor that allowed us. What's that?
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing, Mike, because
What's up?
I hate to interrupt you, but
What you got?
funny to me because you done got the flour, you got the eggs, you got the milk, you got the blender, but you refuse to admit that it made a cake.
What are you talking about, babe?
You sat here and gave me the whole recipe to the Willie Lynch letter. You done named.
Yo, we just said that we agreed that it was fake, right? No, hold on, Pat. You just said we agreed that it was. I thought I heard 6. I thought I heard the brother say we agreed that it's a hit, but whatever we call it, a syndrome, a recipe, whatever, that this happened. Did we not say that?
Yep, we agreed.
Okay, so now this brother trying to say I got you.
No, I said it.
You got me.
I was looking at your face.
You the police?
I don't think you believed it. I'm looking at you
Oh,
and
look.
I'm like, he
So
done
look,
named
let me
all
pose
of
this
the
question.
recipe items
Yeah, I'm laying out the.
that letter was based on.
But that's retro. See, I'm saying that the letter was retro. So the same things that I'm laying out was information and being able to look back. It's like being it's like looking at history and then going to write the greatest history book ever written. It's like, well, shit, of course you were able to write this good story because you had the ability to look at everything that happened thus far. It would be one thing if you wrote this back then
When it started.
and then it happened, but it's somebody here saying
But they did. All the stuff that's happening is what's outlined in that proposed letter.
He changing what he said. I thought we all agreed
So
that
the
it was
letter's fake.
yeah.
No. Here's what we agreed.
Oh, see now he just
Clarify
6.
this.
Did he
And
change
this is for
up?
all the
6,
listeners.
6,
Nah,
6. Did he
Let's
change
listen
up?
to him.
6.
I'm gonna
Hold
listen to
on.
him.
This is for all the listeners. So we're gonna clarify this.
Okay.
Lights are starting to come on.
Okay.
We're gonna clarify this.
Come on.
I said was agree
Play it back too.
that there's no such person as Willie Lynch. We agree that the actual per se letter does not exist. What we agree on. But the formula, the recipe, all the stuff that's said in the letter is happening 300 years later. So what you just said, that go through history and then write it, why didn't you write it back then? They did write it. Somebody did write it back then. Now, we don't even know that it wasn't written in the 1700s.
Hold on. Let me get my.
But I do agree with you, and I think it's an interesting conversation. And something brought up. If you could take a note, brother Mike.
What's up?
We might need to add that redlining to our list or fit it in another topic. Junior, do you know what? Brother Six, do you know what redlining is? That's a good topic. Basically, that's just segregating out the different areas of a community and
just to harp on that just a little bit, I do know a little bit something about it, and I don't want to say, and for those listeners, don't take it out of context, but this is just something to think about. In 1930, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to separate. Are we trying to do that now? Is where we should be? I told you so. We should have done it. We should have been doing it.
Well, he laid the groundwork.
But now that we are, it's a forced issue.
Well, Prophet Noble Drew Ali with the Moore Science Temple, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All of these individuals laid out certain formats and certain plans that, if nothing else, I think one of the mistakes that we do as a group of people is that when it comes to our particular knowledge or our thing, to your point, we
discount it.
We discount it, and we don't do the due diligence.
Yeah.
Or because it's not put in a school curriculum, we don't do it. So in school, they will teach you, and we will learn about World War I. We'll learn about Mussolini. We'll learn about Stalin. We'll learn about Hitler. We'll learn about all of these individuals, Lenin. All of these different people. Whether they were right and exact, whether they were good people, whatever we want to call that, we learn about that.
Yes, sir.
And the strategies that they take. I could go on the History Channel on cable right now, and on the History Channel down there every day, they got something on Hitler, the Third Reich, Hitler's this, and this. It's like they literally are studying the things that they did. Now, as a white people, let's say I grew up, as in the Methodist Church, no longer that, but I grew up in that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be wise, the same way that they taught us in school to learn about these things and the strategy from a war perspective and all of this, and I think they said in the War College they teach them about Hannibal and things of that nature, that you study, it's mandatory to study the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, the movement. Because see, here's the thing, you can't, it's difficult for me to understand how you can love Brother Malcolm and not love the one that brought him into enlightenment.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You have to understand that movement. And so why wouldn't I want to study a movement that was able to take men and women at their lowest points, pimps, prostitutes, and all in between, scallywags, scumbags, and all of that. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Hate. All of that comes to that. and then say,
scallywags.
That's so funny, the episode right there. And then just say, yo, let's look at this. How are they able to do this to the point that those brothers and those sisters got right in their garb, in the way that they dressed, in their stature, in the way that they talked, in the way that they presented themselves? As a matter of fact, in those days, you could act a fool if you wanted to. But when the brothers, not only from the fruit of Islam, but just when the nation stepped on the scene, you wasn't doing nothing. You wouldn't dare mess with any sister that was involved with MST or anything like that was in the nation, right?
Right.
Why wouldn't we study that as a just, whether you a Christian, whether you in whatever, study that and model those particular things. You see, you don't have to recreate the wheel. Like, I'm not saying I'm trying to be a Nazi, but you make me study Germany, Hitler. You know, if I want to know as a nation in some ways how to do something, why wouldn't I study Japan after World War II?
Oh, right.
Pre World War II, and after World War II, because we know what happened. They surrendered the emperor, but then we also recognize that after that, they went about the business of making themselves one of the giants in technology and from an economy, somebody that we had to deal with.
Right.
And so looking at those things, those are things that as a group of people that we should be understanding some of the things that they may or may not have went through, and they have their own history and certain things. There's a lot of stuff that we can look at, even if you look at World War I, World War II as sovereign nations and how they work. In one end, Germany and Italy are our comrades, or World War II, we were going against Germany and Italy and Japan. Russia was our ally. You see what I'm saying? China, these are all our allies. After World War II, what happens?
Yeah.
We now, so Dr. John Henry Clark says we have no permanent friends.
There is none.
That's true.
We if you meet our needs, we do. And that's the way that we have to think until we get to a point, because I would contend that slavery did not just enslave us, it enslaved everyone. It enslaved them too, because they can ill afford for us to fully wake up, because if we do, the whole system tears apart. And so they have to be, they just, whether they know it or not, they have to keep this thing going in order to just be, to have a sense of self.
Yeah, I can agree.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what we're working with right now. We're working with people that believe that white is actually a race, that black is a race.
Right.
It's only one. It's the human race. They just happened to come out of Africa, but it could have came out of China if China was positioned on the equator. You see what I'm saying? And they would have been black people. This ain't race. This ain't race baiting. This ain't one superior to another. It's just the way that the universe works.
Yeah.
And everything after that is something that comes after. So I'm saying that if I know at the beginning, before I was in human form, that I was at that, then I know that, quote unquote, in the end, because I know that there is none, I will be that too. This is just me being able to activate myself in my divine nature and to work this God thing out. And so that's what we got to be about. So to Six's point, and to your point, what we do is we keep our word amongst ourselves. You got to start small within your family. Keep your word. So when brothers say, Six, can you come out and help me? You be like, yep, I'm coming out there. You go out there and you do what you got to do. And that builds that camaraderie. It builds that trust. We can't tell our young people to do something that we don't emulate.
Your word has got to be bond, and bond is life. And I give my life before my word is broken.
Indeed. You understand the mantra. You understand what it means to be on that corner, on your post, making sure things go down and supposed to go down. So my thing is that why are we surprised? It all it takes is really us deciding these are the actions that I want to take, and then going about taking them, recognizing that my ancestors did not see Pat going for his doctorate. They didn't even know who Pat was. They just knew that if I keep on trucking, there's going to be a Pat and a Six that's going to come somewhere down the line. And if they keep on trucking, we're going to move this thing, because we're not dealing with the time. We on a what is it called? A Gregorian calendar,
Yeah.
Nigerian.
brother. Are you telling me? So what we really saying is that we was counting time. We had the wherewithal to count time as 3200 BC, and we counted down to zero, and then we went back up. Who does that? That ain't us.
Right.
We in 2020. Says who?
Right.
But when you align your mind right, and you do knowledge of self, and you understand who you are, those things start. The questions don't even become. It's like you don't really care who you offend because you're not really trying to offend no one. You just on a vibe, like as Six says, we on a different vibration. So now we starting to work and say, you know what? This is how I'm doing because I see God in myself and I see God in you. Six, whatever you need, I got it, brother.
See their fight is much bigger. I man, that was heavy. You just laid on us. I see the light. Let me walk with you. They're fighting just as hard to hide the lie from the naked truth.
See it right
We're
now.
fighting to get those who don't know the truth. So it's just as hard it is for them that it is for us. It's much harder for us because back to the Willie Lynch letter or that syndrome or that state of mind or that recipe that was laid on us, and so many of us is believing it. We fight much harder just to get our youth to believe that they are gods, man.
Mm-hmm.
That they come from, everything comes from us.
But
that melanin and that stuff is real. We're part of the stars, man. That star dust and the chemical makeup of where it all started is in us. Just to get them to see that, and all the white people have to do is to realize that, do you know what it takes to be a racist? It's the same thing to become a pianist or a chemist. You know, you studied that, you're now a chemist. You know what chemistry does, so now your name is a chemist. That's what you are. I am a racist because I study my history. I know where I come from. Oh man.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. No. I think we got a topic when we start dealing with spirituality.
Yes, sir.
Some different principles and things like it, because it'll go back into that.
That's the blockage that we're talking about.
That's the thing.
Circle the wagons, because I think Mama Joyce was just hollering for me.
Oh, is them?
Came on.
Wait a minute, hold on. I did see some lights flickering.
The lights coming on.
Yeah, so I think them street lights is. I think they are coming on.
I don't know about anyone that's listening, but I know these three brothers on 23rd Street when them street lights came on.
Say something.
You better be on that porch.
Say something. Not on your way to the porch. You better be on the porch.
Hey, Julia, you better be on that porch.
Mike, where you at?
Oh man, don't let
Mama,
it's always a great conversation. It's always a great time when I get two brothers, and I really enjoy the conversations that we have, and I'm looking forward as we go forward in these endeavors, the conversations.
Man, indeed. I know we got some things that we got to take care of, but dang, I gotta get this mic thing. That don't look good. They don't look good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we got to get together, polish this up. So we just ask the listeners, the viewers, to work with us, comment, shoot those things out. Let us know what we could do better. Shoot us some topics that you want to hear about. Again, we just individuals that are just trying to make it. We done got this far, 50 something years in life. We look good for that. Boy, we look good for that. Black, it don't crack. But again, I know when them street lights is on, I don't want, God rest her soul, I don't want my mama to hit me upside my head. That, Six, you got anything, brother? I heard you putting something in the atmosphere, a little sound or something.
Yeah, man. As we getting out of here, man, I just want to give juices up to my fat blood, man. I know he's looking down on us, man. Peace and blessings.
Have we even said his name?
Man, I think we call it out, but
like being in the spirit with two brothers, man. Vibing on a whole new aspects of whatever it is that we got in our cups to put out into the atmosphere. So those that feel that spirit can join us, and all that negativity, it kind of bounces off that energy circle.
Pat, what who are we talking about? Because I don't think we did.
We're talking about our dear brother Reginald Smith. So those
Reggie.
that are familiar, everybody know Reggie. Everybody loved Reggie. Rest in peace, my brother.
Peace to his wife. Peace to his family.
His family, his kids, his beautiful daughters. And we're going to keep this thing rolling. Again, it's always a pleasure to be in the presence of you two fellas. You two
Salute.
gentlemen. Salute. Let's do this.
All right.
Brother.
Yeah. Oh, one of them topics we got to get though is Harem Biff. Is he real or not?
He done hit you up on that about 5
Watch
times.
yourself. You go fool around and get a couple
He
phone
done hit you about 5 times.
Call me. We can talk about it.
You go fool around and get a couple phone calls.
They can call. We can talk about it.
5 times.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Darling,